Hey, New Patient Group Nation, welcome inside the broadcast booth. Brian right here, and welcome to Season 3, Episode number 3. Crazy world out there right now with the coronavirus, all this crazy stuff going on. Hope everyone is staying healthy out there. Thought it'd be fitting to do a podcast today wrapped around that, how your business can not only survive during these times, but actually come out ahead and thrive. So I wanted to have a conversation with everybody about that. Just getting back from Laguna Beach. It's been hard to get behind the broadcast booth mic lately. We've been doing a lot of traveling all over the place during these crazy times. I happen to be the one that just looks at the positive, and I'm going to still go get them as if this virus didn't even exist. And while you still have to be careful, you can't shut down your life because of the crazy things going on. So the week we just had with the Shulman Group out in Laguna Beach was awesome. We recently announced we are their preferred vendor for digital marketing and also other employee training services, other great things we do. It's great meeting all of you out there. The ones listening to the podcast now, is a real pleasure to meet you, to speak at your event, and to really be helping all the Shulman Group members. We're also handling the digital marketing for the Shulman Group themselves, and we can't wait, and we've already started really portraying the great organization that you are, both to other doctors and also the consumers out there to help drive more patients to your practice. Before we get started today, let's fire up the music.
Welcome to the New Patient Group podcast, where doctors, office managers, and other healthcare professionals learn how to thrive in today's competitive marketplace by mastering the business, consumer, and marketing aspects of the practice. If you want to make more money, dominate the competition, while working, spending, and stressing less, this podcast is for you. Now, your host. He is the leading authority in the new era of practice growth, founder and CEO of New Patient Group, managing partner of RightChat, speaker and consultant for Align Technology, the makers of Invisalign, author for the Benson Koppel Resource, international motivational speaker, business and life coach, Brian Wright.
Hey everybody, welcome inside the broadcast booth. Landed late last night from the Shulman Group event, and what a great event. I mean, the Shulman Group really put on an awesome event in Laguna Beach. So the Montage is the resort out there, and years ago, and I don't know the exact amount of years because I had multiple people tell me this when I was there, it was actually rated the number 2 resort in the United States. I mean, the views, the food, the atmosphere, the experience were just fantastic. Matter of fact, when I got there, and they can't do it for everybody, when I got there, they gave me a welcome tour of the facility, and the person giving me the tour, they just had wonderful verbiage skills. And there was 2 things, and I'm only going to talk about one really quick, that they did, and it's called the benefit experience. We're going to be doing a podcast about the benefit experience, but long story short, what that is that no matter what you edify about yourself, your team, your organization, you always finish it with, and how this benefits you, the end user, the consumer, the patient, the customer, the client. And that way, it doesn't come off as necessarily as you're bragging. The bragging statement is followed by how that then benefits the end user. They were very good at it. And that concierge model, how they met me, took the bags, it's exactly what we teach. As a matter of fact, it's why I created RightChat, because with the other managing partners along with me, of course, that created it, is the reality is the phones are such a hassle whenever they're ringing, because it is a distraction from what the front should be doing, and that's being the concierge. So anyway, the hotel really nailed it, the overall experience. And one of the things, we're going to do a podcast. I haven't figured out the title of it yet, but the title is going to be something like the number 1 marketing investment you'll never do. And really what it is, we talk about experience. We talk about all these things on the show. It's what we teach. It's what we speak about, things like that. The biggest challenge for you as a business owner, and again, most of our listeners out there are business owners that are clinicians and own their own company. There's exceptions. There's reps. A lot of reps listen to this. And we have a lot of other business owners, entrepreneurs that are fighting and scratching just to stay alive every day, listen to this podcast. The biggest challenge that you have when you want to offer an exceptional experience to your clientele, whatever that clientele may be, whatever industry you're in, is the reality that most of the time, and again, it's not a criticism, the hourly employee doesn't know what that experience feels like. Why? Is because they cannot afford, for the most part, to stay in something like the Montage that we just experienced, or the Ritz-Carlton. So The marketing investment that we suggest that I always tell people is, look, is it expensive? Yeah, but the same people that say it's expensive are ones dropping $15,000 a month on pay-per-click, which is a total waste of money, as we talk about on here. You're better off spending that money and taking your team for a few days to a resort like the Montage, to a Ritz-Carlton, to these things that make you feel so special with every word out of their mouth. And when you leave there, you just feel so amazing. And when your hourly employees finally get to experience that, wow, is it easier to then train them and have them want to show up every day to make other people feel that same way. Until they feel it themselves, you can talk about it all you want, but it's very difficult to get them to carry out something that they themselves have either never experienced or experienced very little. So just wanted to run that by. It was a great time. Shulman Group put on a great event. Now let's dive in today. This coronavirus. There's been times throughout history, swine flu, and I could sit here and name a ton, where we've dealt with these things, whether it's business shutdown, they shut down the nation. I know the borders. We've got a lot of events coming up in Canada, that I'm wondering, are we even going to be able to go? One of our VIP coaches, Debbie, she's a speaker for Invisalign, a TC for the great Dr. Bart Eiswick out there, and she's a VIP coach. She was going to come meet me at a client in Seaport, which is basically Boston, next week, and now she can't because Canada shut down their borders. So, it's affecting everybody out there, long story short, and there's a couple different ways to look at this. I tend to be the one that, yes, it's a problem. Yes, you have to be prepared. I'm a positive thinker, and I believe this will blow over, hopefully, in a couple months. But there's a lot of people scared out there. The Houston Rodeo, is actually supposed to go Monday to see Keith Urban, and Keith Urban's always been one of my top favorite singers, and I'm obviously very disappointed. But they have vendors at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Obviously, the rodeo is a big deal in Houston. It's the largest rodeo in the United States and in the world. And a lot of great singers come to it. It's just a huge party for, a few weeks when it's in town. But there are vendors there that make their living for the entire year based off of selling their goods at the rodeo. Now, the rodeo is now canceled, and I've seen videos of people crying, tweets of people, just the sadness. And it just breaks my heart because those businesses, their whole year depends on about 3 weeks of selling their goods. And then now they're broke. What are they going to do? They have a small business, and most businesses cannot last more than a month or two without revenue. Very few companies, and people make the mistake of thinking back when Hurricane Harvey hit Houston and it flooded out and ruined so many homes, it was very sad. My mind always went immediately to the hundreds, if not thousands, of businesses that were put out of business almost overnight from that natural disaster in the flooding in Houston. Because again, most companies, even dental practices, orthodontic practices, if you don't have recurring revenue coming in, you can't go very long without shutting your doors. So you always have to have a plan in place. One of the things I'm going to suggest today, this is one of the ways, and it's not just the coronavirus, but it is for this as well. It's difficult. So I'm going to make this quick analogy, just came to my mind. Back when I was in my plastic surgery days, when I was growing plastic surgery practices and owned a very large operation out of LA, one of the things we used to teach people, and it's very difficult to do, is a lot of, like, Botox as an example. Botox is something you get before you need it. And I remember, some of our clientele would come in and they would get Botox injections when they were 16, 17 years old. And people outside of the plastic surgery realm look at that like you've got to be crazy. But the reality is, when you start early, it never looks like you've actually had any work done. And you can get very minimal amounts over the course of time that last longer and are more effective. So you get it before you need it. If you wait until you need it, it's very difficult to make it look natural and to have the same success. It's no different on the business side on business loans. So one of the suggestions, and again, it's difficult to do when you don't need it, but getting business loans are done when you don't need it, okay? That way, you always have healthy cash flow, or you have healthy cash flow whenever you go and get the business loan. You get better terms, lower interest rates. And that cash can basically sit in your account if needed. Maybe you can even dip into a line of credit as an example. That's another way to go about it. But those are things that you always want to get before you actually need it. So whenever the time comes that you need it, you can then dip into it as needed. If you wait to go out and get it, when you need it, it's harder to find. The interest rates aren't as good. Cash flow isn't as good. So obviously you're not going to get as much cash. And then the interest rates, like I said, are higher. It's not as good a deal. So one of the suggestions I have for you is go out and get that business loan when times are right. Now, obviously, if you haven't done that and you're in the situation we're in now, let's talk about some things on how we're going to get through this. So control what you can control, okay? Relax. It's kind of like the direct-to-consumer, right? If you're a practice out there that, does clear aligners of some sort and Smile Direct Club, you're freaking out about them and, oh my gosh, what do I do? Well, you can't control it, all right? There are things that you can control that we're going to talk about next. But right now, you've got to relax in the sense of you've got to focus on only the things that you can control, okay? Your employees need to see that you're a leader. Reps out there helping practices grow. Other reps that listen in other entrepreneurial worlds that listen to the podcast, you need to be the calming influence to the people you're helping. Leaders out there, CEOs, office managers, general managers, whatever it might be, you need to be a calming influence to the situation that's going on. I do believe that this whole situation is extremely overhyped. Now, that's not to downplay the people that have lost lives. That is not downplay the people that are sick from this at all. I just believe that it is made to be a much larger situation than it actually is. Hopefully I'm right, and hopefully time will prove that I'm right. But no matter what, very first step of this is you need to relax and you need to focus on only what you can control. If you're one of these types, my wife and her family are like this, where they're always diving into the internet or watching the local news. And you have to remember that these media outlets are paid for viewers. So the more they hype things, the more that they prop things up, and the worse they make things sound, the more viewers they get, the more advertising they can sell and things like that. I want you to just focus on what you can control, which is going to lead us in to the second one. But before I do, remember, this goes back. Remember the 3 pillars. The 3 pillars that New Patient Group encompasses as far as services go, and those 3 pillars that I've taught all over the world, the 3 pillars of business success: leadership and culture, repetitive ongoing employee training with people held accountable to the training at the highest levels, and then a digital marketing presence that's unique compared to your competition in the community, or if you're a nation or global-wide company. Okay? This first one we're talking about, and these 3 pillars are so powerful because they can be applied to everything, not just growth. They can be applied to overcoming obstacles, which is what we're talking about today, because the very first thing I'm talking to you about is leadership and culture. If the CEO panics and the CEO, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? This is going to kill our business. And employees see that. What do you think happens as far as leadership and culture go? It goes down the toilet, which means that the rest of the things that you try to implement to try to get through this do not work either at all, or certainly don't work nearly as well. Okay, so first piece of advice is you need to calm down, control what you can control, and show that you are leading your people, your employees, your management teams, your leadership teams through this hard time by doing the things that I'm about to discuss now, okay? Now we've got 1. Control what you can control and just relax. Everything is going to be okay. And that, by the way, is what your employees need to hear from you. Regardless of how you actually feel about this, your employees need to see you stand up in front of them and say what I am saying. Everybody, this is going to be okay, okay? We have your back, all right? We are going to make this work. We're going to get through this together as a family. No matter how hard our business gets hit, hopefully it doesn't, but no matter how bad of a situation, I am here for you. I have full control of this business to make sure it's going to survive and thrive during these hard times. I'm going to be here for you. If you can't get to work, we're going to work out a payment situation. I am here for you. That is leadership and culture, and that is what your people need to hear from you and the leadership team during these difficult, challenging times. Now, let's focus on the next one, and that is the second pillar of the 3 pillars of business success. And again, I want you to realize how these 3 pillars work in harmony and how you can apply them no matter what you are trying to solve, no matter how hard things are, good things are, in between, no matter what you're trying to accomplish as far as growth or survival or both. How these 3 pillars work, no matter what business you are, no matter what profession you're in, small, large business, or in between. The 3 pillars work so well. We just got done talking about the first one. Now, employee training, the second pillar. There are very important times. Look, everything's important as far as training goes. There's never a situation in business where training can't help you, okay? There are some more than others. During troubling times like this, Training your people, and this is usually what is the last thing people are thinking about during times like this. Most of it is, how are we going to get new clients through the door? How are we going to keep ours? And of course you should be thinking about this or those things, and that's where these 3 pillars come back. Because right now the second pillar, employee training, and then holding people accountable for the training, otherwise you're wasting your time with the training, is you need to train your people to have a conversation with every single client you have walking through the door or over the telephone about how you understand what's going on, you understand their concerns and fears, and how you are doing everything you can as a business to go the extra mile from a sterilization, a cleanliness standpoint, because you're a business that always goes the extra mile. But even right now, you are trying to find ways to even go further to make sure they are in a sterile, hospitable, very clean environment every single time they walk through the door, okay? They need to know that. Now, here's the thing. You can't just tell your employees to go say that. This is where so many people fail, okay? You've got to take the time, and this is where the leadership and culture stand in or come into play, is that you've got to take your time out of being in your business and working on your business and take the time to sit down, have the conversation with them that everything's going to be okay, back to the leadership and culture, and then train them on the things you want them to communicate via every interaction with your clientele, your patients, your customers. Because consumers need to know they're walking into a business that understands their fears and can control their fears and has everything in play to make sure they receive a great experience as it relates to this horrible disease that's out there, okay? The employees must, from phone call to actual touch point inside the office, they need to be having these conversations with your respective clientele. So important. But again, it's not going to happen if you don't take the time, block it, and actually practice and role play with your team. And you know, we talk about these so much. It relies everything. You want them to be good on the phones? Well, you better have leadership and culture, right? You better have your ongoing employee training, right, with accountability. See how those function together. You know, digital marketing, same way, is that if you expect people to shoot content, you've got to train them. And the only way the training is going to work is if you have the right culture. They all work in harmony together. No different than when you're trying to overcome this horrible situation we're all in right now, okay? So we have leadership and culture, and then I want you to train your people to have a calming conversation via telephone and via every touch point in your office that they come in with. Every employee should be articulating to your customers, patients, clients, etc., that you have things under control, okay? Very, very important. And then this is the third pillar, all right? Online buzz. Create an online buzz. Now, what's the popular topic right now? Obviously, coronavirus, all right? It's going to be typed in all over the place. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of it by shooting content. And that's the discussion I want to get into now. Everybody, listen to me very carefully. Let's use content to our advantage. Let's use content to your business's advantage. What is the hot topic right now? Obviously, the coronavirus. Unfortunately, it is, but it's the reality we're in. So let's start shooting videos wrapped around the virus. One, just like I was just talking about how your team should be communicating internally to your clientele, your patients, customers. You need to be communicating externally in a digital format to your clients, customers, patients, etc. All right. Also to ones out there that may still be searching for a dentist, orthodontist, another type of clinician, another type of business, period. You need to be out on the web, all right? This is where the third pillar is so critically important, is creating that online buzz. While most people are going to be sitting, watching the news, most people are going to be scared, you're the one that's out actively shooting the content wrapped around this virus, how your business is a place that's safe to come to, the extra things, the extra careful items you are taking, the extra steps you are taking to ensure people that show up to your business, to your practice, are safe. Just like internal marketing with your employees saying these things to people inside your doors, extremely important that you hit the digital world with this content and say it to people there. Now, let's also create a video where it's like a mini explainer video. It doesn't need to be long. Doctor, I want you to be on this video. Do not be the person, I'm going to have my employees do it. No, this is you. It needs to be your face. Get over the fact of, oh, I'm not good on camera, I'm shy. Well, no different than when you first started being a clinician. You probably weren't that good at it either. You had to learn, okay? This is no different. You can master this if you commit to learning, and then that's being a leader, and your employees will follow along. I want you to do this. I want you to get on camera, and I want this to go on YouTube. And this is why, again, you've got to not only shoot the videos, but you got to code it, title it, the other keyword it, optimize it right in order to show up in your community. And that's why I think my team is the best. I mean, the same team that does it for our clients are the same team I trust to do it for our YouTube station that's so well optimized that we come up on Google searches with millions of potential results even when we don't even do SEO over on Google. You know, I want you to commit to the YouTube marketing. It's so important. Clients, you know it. But I want you to do a video that discusses what makes your business different during these difficult times, the extra mile you're going to make sure people are safe out there, how people can ensure their safety and be comforted when they walk through your door, why they should pick up the phone and even call your business, your practice during these difficult times. I want you to put together a video that just is from your heart, not scripted, from your heart, that lets people know they are safe. I want you to put that on YouTube, and then you're going to take that link and you're going to email and text it to every single patient you have. Easier for some practices than others, I get, based on the amount of active patients, but you're going to send that out via email and text, that link, letting people know, hey, look, we want you to watch this. We're going to wrap and title that around the coronavirus. Very important, and that way you come up in those search terms in your community to help generate that brand awareness. Another video is this is where the virtual consultation comes into play. You know, we teach the virtual consultation, and I think people try to make it, you know, when we first talk to people, try to make it too hard. Look, we have FaceTime, we have GoToMeeting, there's Zoom out there. That's what you can use. Are there other better solutions? Absolutely. But to get started with the virtual consult, you can use those. They're at your fingertips. All you need is a few photos, and you can dictate to the patient, well, you're the clinician, not me. You can dictate what you need. Most clinicians that I work with, that we see, need about 6, 7, or 8 to be able to look at the photo and go, and this right now I'm talking about for new patients. This is a way to still get your new patients through the door, and a video should be done about this virtual consult and how you can see people virtually, because that will attract new patients during this time of crisis that otherwise would not have left their house. Well, now they can see you for an appointment. It's just going to be virtual. All right, the virtual consultation, I mean, we work with our clients, we teach it. It's not rocket science, but it's different. It's unique, and you do need to get it right. But the reality for this is just do it. Speed of implementation, just do it. So create some content around we can see you virtually. And that's what's so great about clear aligners. This is another advantage that you can shoot content around if you're an Invisalign doctor out there, if you do another clear aligner, whatever. This is the reason why Invisalign is so great. One, there's a lot less appointments, but the virtual consultation works wonderful. Not only for the new patients, it also works wonderful for the existing. We have clients out there, I see it all the time. They turn what otherwise would just been a 5-minute, 10-minute tops appointment into a virtual to see if people are tracking properly. I mean, who wants to drive, in 30 minutes to get to a practice for a 5-10-minute appointment? It's a waste of the patient's time and the clinician's time if you can just see over a computer whether or not they're tracking properly. And this is what this is. On the new patient consult, it's not an official diagnosis, but if you get enough photos the right way, most TCs and most clinicians would agree that you can look at that and go, yeah, it looks like a 12-month case, looks treatable. We can do that with Invisalign or whatever you're going to prescribe them or whatever they're interested in. It looks like probably $150 a month right in there. Remember, you always want to talk in terms or as much as you can in low monthly payments. There's all kinds of financial data done by Forbes and a lot of other very reputable sources that talk about millennials, Gen Z. Very much need to hear things in terms of low monthly payments. You do not talk total price, at least as the first thing that comes out of your mouth. So these virtual appointments, at least you can give a rough estimate. Now, you still need, and this is me talking to the patient if I was you, we still need to get you in here. We're going to confirm it, give you a nice iTero scan, and, that's a 3D rendering of what your smile is going to look like in the treatment. We'll do some other clinical things we need to make sure to customize your treatment, make sure nothing changes, and let's get you in. Now, they may not come in tomorrow because of this virus, but you've got them on the books. The point there is on the new patients, you can drive new patient behavior that otherwise wouldn't have walked through your door during these difficult times. What this also does, now that's surviving What this also does is help you thrive, because whenever this mess calms down, now you've generated content that helps you brand yourself as having the virtual consultation as an option in your community. Okay, that's how you come out ahead. You shoot Invisalign videos around that. That's where when people are typing and looking for Invisalign, you guys, you know that's one of the reasons I'm a big fan of Invisalign. And I think they take a very bad rap for a lot of things that people are just overlooking how much they're actually doing for your practice. I mean, a 99% consumer brand awareness is insane. People are typing in Invisalign all day long. That's marketing you don't have to do. They did it for you. So when your practice shows up digitally for these search terms, the reason why it did is because of them, because the consumer doesn't type in Invisalign into Google if it's not for the marketing they're doing for you. It's your job to capture in your community those people that are typing in Invisalign search terms. So whatever other search term it may be, you need to start creating content around that right now. So around the virtual consultation, also around the same things I was talking about, the same things you want to talk about internally, you need to produce content around that and get that out across the web, across all the social media platforms, and across all the your YouTube station. Get it coded right to make sure you get that across the web and come out ahead. Now, also the existing patients I was talking about with those shorter appointments, try to take as many appointments as you can. Now, think outside of the box. As many as appointments as you can that they would otherwise have to show up. You can contact that patient and say, you know, Mr. Jones, for your convenience, we want to offer you a virtual appointment. All right, now it'd be best for you to get in for this type of appointment, but we're going to turn it virtually because we care about you and your well-being and your family. And, you know, you turn it into an experience. Again, every word out of your mouth needs to enhance that client experience. Now, if it's an appointment that absolutely cannot be clinically done virtually, don't do it. But hopefully all these ideas today, leadership and culture, even the business loan, you know, take this as an advice that if times are really going well for your business, that's when you seek the cash. Although, again, it's very difficult for people to do it, all right? No different than that Botox analogy that I gave, all right? Then the leadership and culture, you've got to lead the way during these hard times. Lead the way during these hard times. Then we've got to train employees to get out there with your patients and say the right things, all right? Be empathetic, sympathetic, calming, know what to say, when to say it, as I discussed. And then you've got to create this online buzz. Very important that you create this content wrapped around the things you're doing to keep people safe, the things you're doing to respect their time and their safety, such as the virtual appointment. Also use it for your clear aligner growth and come out ahead, okay? Be the person that looks at everything as an opportunity instead of the person that looks at everything as an obstacle, and you will dominate in your community, all right? The 3 pillars of business success apply to everything. They work, all right? Thanks for listening today. We're going to get through these tough times together. My message to you is relax. Everything's going to be perfectly fine. I own businesses too, and I'm doing the same thing we're talking about on this podcast. We're doing the same thing with my company's new patient group clients listening. It's all going to be okay. We're there for you. We're going to do that webinar. Information is going to go out via email on how to access it and log in. Eric Field, the COO of the company, as well as myself, will be on that webinar running it. Looking forward to it. Everybody out there, I appreciate you listening to the podcast. We'll get through these tough times together. Take these 3 pillars that I talked about today, go implement it, get your business not only through this in survival mode, but come out ahead and thrive on the other end whenever this all dies down, okay? Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Bye-bye.